Attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true.
Welcome along to Steve Brace True Crime Podcast, and as always, pleasure to have so many watching and tuning in. First of all, big welcome to Dean Lynch Ward. How are you,
Nice.
Dean?
I'm all right, mate. Just wrapping up for the day, to be honest.
Good stuff, mate. You're a grafter, and we've opened this up as an open forum, and we've got Anne, who is there. So welcome, Anne. Not a stranger to these channels.
Hello.
Which is good
Dean.
to see you.
Hello, Anne, you okay?
Yeah.
Dean, listen, I invited DECCA on. I did have some communication backwards and forwards. I asked, a couple of mutual acquaintances to get him on. Unfortunately, we drew a blank. He did come out this afternoon and post something, as you're fully aware, on his YouTube channel to say that he didn't want to come on somebody else's channel. And listen, that's his prerogative. That's his choice. So it's, I said to the person who I spoke to, and on my numerous messages which you saw us put out there, this wasn't a setup. Is it for clicks? Is it for views? Of course it is. This is YouTube. We're all here. Those of us who run channels, we're there to do that. And I said to you straight away, of course, it's going to bring in some decent views and it's going to create opinion. And for me, as a promoter and as somebody who's promoted boxing unlicensed and professional, that's what this fight, that's what it needs. But DECCA's had the opportunity to come on. He can still come on if he wants. The link is there in the chat, as can anybody else. Anne has chosen to come on tonight as well, which is great. Before I come to Anne and see what Anne would like to say, I've got a few questions which I think the public would like answered. Dean, from your perspective, I would like to hear DECCA's answer as well. But I'm sure you can give your version of what you feel is your truth on this. So the first question is this fight going to happen, Dean?
100% on our side. The fight was always happening on my side, 100%. I won't put myself on a public platform for the fight. But what I wanted people to understand is he made it apparent that the fight was a publicity stunt. So what I basically said is, look, the way I wanted to deal with DECCA from the way it's happened, from the way it happened, I'd get myself in a lot of trouble the way I wanted to deal with it. So I thought, well, you know what? Let's do it's fair. Fair's fair. He claims to be this fighting man, which we all know he's had a few fights. So my attitude was, well, let's get a fight on, because I wanted nothing more to get my hands on him. And that's the gospel's truth. But then at the same time, I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at his channel building on the back of it, and he's streaming it, and he's going to make it easy to DECCA. It's apparently, to him, it was all about the fight. For me, I clearly come out and said in January and December, I basically turned around to him and said, this was about proving right from wrong. Now, what DECCA done, he took it upon himself, like, it's a fight and it all goes away. You're changing the narrative. What's the fight actually about? I mean, look, realistically, do I really want to go in there and share the ring and give this guy the platform after what he's been accused of? Not at all. And that's why I basically said to him, paperwork, mate, let's get it out in the open. That's what it was about. His reaction said it all. Then I said to him, well, look, now I'm going to be honest and straight with this. I knew Sarah's and Claire's law has been done on DECCA HEGGIE. Do I have access to it? Yes, I do. Can I say who's done it? No, I can't. But it was two people, the recent. Now, all the questions, I mean, being realistic about it, what I was basically going to ask him today, I wasn't going to use the word nonce. I've done that to belittle him, to frustrate him, to anger him. I've got a fight against the guy, and, he's 5 stone heavier than me. I'm up against it in the fight. Does it mean I'm going to get beat? Not at all. But I don't want the fight to really much get spoke about. The point what I'm getting at is that there's questions now what I need to ask him. Now, he'll put everyone else on his channel. He'll make videos every 2 minutes, but he won't put me on his channel. His channel will go through the roof if me and him went head-to-head on his channel, like yours would have done tonight, Steve. If DECCA comes on, it's going to go through the roof. The views are fantastic. The only question I asked to DECCA is, and that's why I said I don't have to use and come across immature with a bad attitude and come across as the big bad guy, because the only reason the questions I've got to ask him is, why have you been deemed a significant risk to women and children? That's all I want to know. Do you understand what I mean? And now tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm fighting this guy and I've given everything his way in terms of a fair fight, am I wrong to ask that question?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's something which has gone on and on, Dean, over the course of the last 6 months on YouTube. We've all watched it. We've all got our own views and opinions. DECCA's fully aware of that. He knows who supported him. He knows who hasn't supported him. For my purpose in this whole debate, I deliberately took a backseat. Why have I come out now and stuck my nose in again? Because genuinely, I think this fight will happen. I do think that this fight is destined to happen. He's clearly training and doing what he does best, which is he's putting himself out there, and he's putting himself forward now, and he's facing all of this head on. Now, what you're saying to me now about a new Sarah's Law, a new Claire's Law, I don't know that. I can only take your word and the other people who are mentioning it to me now and saying this has been done. We'll wait and see what happens. Again, it's what I've always said is this will be dealt with by authorities. Dean will come back. He's on the road, so we'll bring him back in. What I was saying, Anne, and I'll come to you now about it, is that this will be dealt with in the proper way. The authorities, if there's something to deal with, will deal with it. We can't judge him. We can't have a kangaroo court, really. But this battle between Dean and DECCA is playing out now live for everybody to see. And what's your take on it, Anne?
Well, the concern I've got, I mean, you know what my view is on violence anyway, as any reason to self-dispute. I'm not into it at all, unless it's a war where you've got no choice but to be violent against an aggressor or an invader. But the concern I have, Dean, is you're on here now and you're sounding really like a nice fella. That if, let's say you came to me for funding for these young youths that you're going to help get into, help them steer away from knife crime and all that, I'd say yes. I'd be interested in supporting and giving money to this cause that you're trying to set up. But if someone came to me and showed me the videos you do about DECCA, I'd very quickly turn around and say, sorry, Dean, you're not an appropriate person to be around troubled youths or any youths because you can't control yourself. Now, that's the concern I have, that this is giving you an image that you don't need.
Do you know what it is? I appreciate that, and I understand I've got public image, but if I've got to spoil my image to get a monster out the public eye, what my children, other people's children, victims are looking at every day, then so be it. I wear my heart on my sleeve and I stand for what's right. I understand what you're saying, but like you're saying, if I've got to destroy my public image for the reasons for what I believe in and what I'm standing by, then I'm willing to do that. Now, what you've got to remember is it's not me. Once I get DECCA out of the way of this now, in terms of the way, I've got a strategy what I'm going to do with this guy. Now, at the end of the day, you've got to look at it like this. Once DECCA's out the way, and then I have to go back and I've got to rectify the way I've come across and justify that. I'm already fully aware of that. Do you understand what I mean? But like you're saying, regardless of what, I've never really had the kind of people have never really looked at me as an ideal candidate anyway. Do you know what I mean? And it is what it is. And what you've got to remember is DECCA was handled by all you guys the way you handled it to save public image, and no one got nowhere. Finally, now I've backed him in a corner. You can clearly see there's a big difference from the way I've tackled him to the way everyone else has been tackling for the past 2 years. If you can't see that, do you understand what I mean? And like you said,
no, what people have done is made them extremely successful and popular. That's what they've done.
Not just Dean, it has to be said.
I know, not just Dean.
Everybody doing it. And I'm doing it
I'm not
tonight.
blaming Dean for that.
I'm doing it tonight by doing this with Dean and with you and whoever else jumps on. We're all talking about him, and he's fully aware that the algorithm raises and his subscribers are going up. his videos, no matter how big or small, no matter what they're about, are getting great traction. And that makes him easy clickbait. He's right. People do, and there are plenty of people clout chasing every day, trying to build the channels up off the back of them. And like I said, right from the start, there's no difference with me doing this tonight. But I'm doing it for a reason. And I offered the chance for DECCA to come on, and it's still there as we broadcast. Click the thing and come on, DECCA. You've got nothing to hide. It's all out in the open. What's gone on? I think the way that Dean has put himself across recently has been a lot different. And this tit for tat, we've seen it. We've seen the way that traveling men do it. We've seen the way that gorgeous do it. We've seen it used to be old VHS tapes going backwards and forwards between the Quinns and the McDonoughs and whatever. I've seen it all. I've been involved in unlicensed fight. I know what it takes to make a good fight. But this isn't for an audience. We're not trying to sell Madison Square Gardens here. This is a straightener. Like away from, and Dean's bent over backwards with everything that he said he was going to do. The fair play man, the cameraman, the venue, he's at the side of the ring. I think what people want to know, Dean, and this is a question that two people have asked. Brian Sweeney, he says, question for Dean is, this YouTube drama is getting new. Obviously, you can't say it's breaking new, but being in a beef, having that context, what's the stress actually like? But he also says, what does Dean say about first saying that he wanted the fight because of no paperwork, but now he wants the fight with paperwork? And SWC makes the same point. He says, didn't he want to fight DECCA because he wouldn't show his paperwork? Now he still won't show it. You won't fight him.
That was a valid point, but if people watch the videos, what I said, I put the paperwork in front of him to bluff him to see what his reaction was going to be to the public eye. And it was his reaction. I knew there was going to be no paperwork. The paperwork, I know exactly what I said in the first video. I can't dispute that. The fight was always going to happen, but when I put it to him, it was his reaction. I played him, and that's why I said, I'm playing you. I'm not. For me, if you're not going to produce paperwork, then clearly, I've seen his channel grow, I've seen his fame grow, I've seen his profile grow through the roof, which I have. So I thought, well, obviously this is growing now because people want to see this big fight and this big this and big that. Let me call him to his bluff. So you got to remember now, he must have some serious threat about me because the first time I put it on him, he produced a convictions list. He could have produced that 2 years prior before I'd got involved. As soon as I said paperwork, I know it's got the algorithm and everything else. As soon as I bluffed him, his reaction said it all. And this is the only thing I can't get my head around is how people are subbing to his channel. So what I said is now, because people are subbing to his channel, I mean, obviously your channel's different, Steve. You invited us on. Now, I want to go on DECCA's channel and challenge him on his own channel to his own fans. Do you understand what I mean?
Do you know what I can't get? And either you, Steve, or Dean, explain to me this, because I can't work it out myself. So you have a straightener. You either get the better of him or he gets the better of you. How does that stop DECCA being a risk to anyone?
Well, it doesn't. DECCA, no matter what you do, if you could put him in prison for 20 years and you'll never stop him being a risk to women and children. Once you deem the risk, you deem the risk. My job was to get him off YouTube. If he wasn't going to get off YouTube, because he seems to get a lot of publicity. So what my job was, now I've got a reason, and I've got a lace card up my sleeve, and I say it openly. That's why I said fight, expose, and shut down. Now, certain people who speak to me behind the scenes know what I meant by that, and people have been trying to get him off YouTube for I don't know how long. So what I was basically going to do is, like I said, there's stuff there that I've got pretty much, I wouldn't say black and white, I'd say a bit better than that. And there was stuff that I was going to do. So the fight was going to be on the cameraman live stream. And then obviously people could then see the evidence for themselves and then make their own assumptions. Because I do have the evidence, and that evidence will be getting released live stream. Now, the reason why, if I say to DECCA, HEGGIE, there's no fight, and we just put that up, we just become another trolling campaign. Someone's leaked it because there's stuff on there that people have leaked on there. No one's took note to it because he's still there. So my issue was, let's go and get a fight. Then you want a fight, let's get a fight. All the viewers come in, they watch the fight. And then guess what? The audio comes up. Boom. And then it's for people to make the assumptions. And you can clearly hear the officers, saying he's a significant risk to women and children. It's never going to stop him from being a risk to women and children. Never. Once you've been deemed a risk, even going to prison will never stop that. It will never stop that at all. So what I wanted to do is, you've got your fight on a live stream. All your subs have tuned in. Now your people who've tuned in to watch this fight can now see in black and white what you are. And then...
So have you got permission to release this by the police or anyone? Because you know there are strict rules on it. You could end up in.
What you've got to remember is I didn't sign any disclaimer with the police. I obtained the evidence by a.
But whoever got it,
that's down to them. It's not down to me. As all I know is that I have got the evidence, and that's what I want to challenge him on.
Yeah.
Now, what's going to basically happen is if I said to DECCA to come on a live, I wasn't going to submit the evidence on a live. I was just going to listen to what I've been told and question him on the live. If he's got nothing to worry about and is innocent as he claims, he would have come on a live to discuss that with me. So clearly now, basically, you know, that's why I said to him, that's why on my side, this fight's 120% happening. It has to happen because it's the only way I'm going to be the closest one to get him off YouTube. So for me, if I don't turn up for this fight, then obviously all this stuff I've just done in the background to obtain the Claire's Law and the Sarah's Law, I've just done everything for nothing. Everything I've done.
Do you really think that, you know? Let's fast forward to June the 18th. You knock him out. You put him in his place. You know, in the ring, and that's it, right? It's a fair play. You're a fair play men there. You shake hands and you move on, and that's it.
No, we don't shake hands with people.
You're not going to shake hands, okay? Because right, all right. So you walk away and that's it. It's done, and you move on. Do you genuinely believe that he would shut his YouTube channel? Because I don't.
No. He wouldn't shut his YouTube channel. But what I want to do is reduce what he's got on his YouTube channel, his subs. I want to reduce all that because surely 27,000 people in there can't agree with people that can't really want to be with people that are significant risks to women and children, surely. But because no one's come with concrete evidence and he's justifying himself all the time, people are still giving him that off chance that he isn't. So when I put this on a live stream, you'll never get anyone off YouTube. You can switch them off and then they'll come back on. But what I said to them, I want people to actually realise, you know, what you know, we've tried everything to get him off YouTube, but a lot of people have. So for me, no. Look, if it's a genuine issue with somebody, I'd be loving it because I don't mind a good scrap and I build it and all that and everything else. It's not a problem to fight. The fight's a minor part. But what I want to try and get through to people is how can you support someone like this? If this goes the way it's going according to plan and he's got 27,000 subs, and he reduces down to 15,000 subs. I don't think it happened, but he did. At least I've done something right. I've made at least half of them people realise what he is. That's it. Do you understand what I mean? Remember, you're going to have people in there and 20,000 subs that aren't following the full DECCA. They're just putting. Someone might tune in, watch this week's what we've.
But we've had it, Dean, haven't we? We've had this before in the past, and people will just say they don't believe it. You've set it up. You've created it. That's what they'll say. It's like people who don't like DECCA will always believe the bad, but if he comes out with something that disproves it, they won't believe it.
Yeah, we're losing him a little bit, but I'm sure we'll get him back. It's just the fact that he's in the car. I mean, look, I'm looking at some of the stuff, and as always, we're getting lots of stuff coming in from different people. Some of it which is just abuse towards Dean. Look, the guy's getting in. The guy's getting in, and he's fighting, and it's not something I would do. It's not something you would do. But you know, from your perspective, I think you're the same as me. I genuinely don't think that. Whether he fights Dean, whether he fights Danny Christie again, whether he fights anybody, I think all this does ultimately is help build DECCA HEGGIE bigger and bigger.
It's total rubbish and nonsense to turn around to think that somehow that is going to reduce his numbers or do anything. It's not. I mean, it's bizarre. It's weird. It's bringing him more attention. And I don't see why. I mean, how many? I mean, I wish Dean was on here so I could ask him this question. You know, this and people going on, oh, we're doing this for women and children. We're doing this for women and children. Is DECCA the only person out there that's a danger to women and children, they're saying? Because I can tell you now, in the travelling community, there's reports out there. They have a serious problem with domestic abuse victims not coming forward to the police and travelling communities and abuse amongst children. So, you know, wouldn't that be better to focus on that as well? Why just DECCA? It seems like it's low picking fruit, as they say, low picking fruit.
Yeah, go on. I think Dean's signal might come back, so you might get a chance to ask him that question. But look, I mean, this thing with DECCA has gone on for months and months and months now. And like I said to you, Anne, at the end of the year, I've took a massive back step from it. And, you know, more positivity more positivity than negativity on the channel. That is the plan. And ultimately, yeah, you're back, Dean. Your reception's not great, Dean. We'll keep coming back to you when you can speak, mate.
Yeah.
Are you managed to pull in and can we hear you now?
Yeah. No.
It's a terrible reception.
Keeps going off, Dean. Keeps going off, mate.
That's what I said. No, when someone's on the road, it's not going to work.
I'm home now, guys. So I'm on the way. Hear me now?
Jump back on when you get back in the house. Get back in the house.
Can hear you now, but it's iffy.
Yeah, jump back in the house, mate. Jump in the house and then come back on.
I'll tell you what, give me literally 2 minutes. Yes, all right.
Good stuff. He's going to go and do that. Fantastic. Yeah, good. Jump in the house, Dean, and then come back on, mate. Okay. I think that's what he's going to do. I'll bring him back in. I'll keep an eye on him in the green room. Yeah, getting back to what we were saying, I just genuinely think that the whole situation is never going to change. And you know, without naming names, Anne, I've seen numerous channels continue to you know, push the narrative to continue
and profit from it.
And profit from it. It has to be said. Not putting anything into child protection, shall we say? And that is something which really is, you know, well, it disgusts me, Anne, I think.
Well, when it comes to, I'm sorry, Steve, it absolutely turns my stomach when it comes to selling T-shirts, and the proceeds from those T-shirts are not going to child abuse. It's going to two people, or I don't know whether it'll be two or three people going on the road having a good time. So you see people there. Child abuse can give some people a lot of fun times if they know how to spin it. And that's the reality of it. Child abuse is not a subject, right, to be used to make a quick buck, to go on the road, not to be used to become a YouTube sensation by carrying on. It's not. The simple reason is child abuse, sex abuse is a serious subject. And these people are just using that to get attention on themselves. And the one that's getting it through is DECCA HEGGIE. And the fact is, and we have to add the fact, and I've said I wouldn't appear with DECCA HEGGIE. I wouldn't. I think there's question marks there. But at the same time, you've got to see concrete evidence. And the only way you get that is if the police turn around and actually take them to, you know, to court or whatever, or take them through the system. But this is what people are forgetting. We're talking about child sex abuse when they're all going around, don't know this business. These are adult men who are just using it to get attention and using it to get, I say, money so they can go on the road and have a good jaunty and go to this hotel and have fun here. That's what they're using it for. It's got nothing to do with child safety or child protection or protection of women. It hasn't. And that's what really gives me, you know, when I see them doing this, because it's obvious what they're doing. They're just using it to give themselves, I say, a presence on YouTube and all this. It's absolutely disgusting. It is.
Yeah, like I said, and again, you know, I'm not claiming and setting the narrative, but I did say a few months ago, Anne, and then you know you agreed with me on our show that we do on a Wednesday night, the News of the World show, that take a step back. This is affecting. If there is anything that he's ever going to be convicted of, then all of this stuff on YouTube is not going to allow the guy to have a fair trial. Yeah. And it's actually going to affect the victims more. And like a lot of people are saying, the victims have, like, there's a lot of the people who are spamming. Like, you don't need to spam. Put your point across. Yeah. And then, you know, I don't mind discussing as law. Then, yeah, it's the crimes that he's been accused of allegedly, which people keep saying this, that, and the other. They're disgusting. And if he is, as Dean keeps putting it on his podcast, a significant risk to women and children, then that is very, very concerning. And I don't know how anybody, and not just DECCA, but anybody, would have the front to continue on a YouTube channel and promote themselves and push themselves if that was, you know, there in the background. But, you know, this is where we're at. This is where we're at, unfortunately. You know, YouTube is YouTube, and, you know, he will continue to do this.
I think what is, but at the same time, DECCA, I've got very little sympathy for. Well, I haven't got any sympathy for him because he does play up to it, and that's what needs to be brought out as well. He must be loving all this attention because I say he'll love it, and I think he's honest about it. He is. You can see at first he was. You could tell he couldn't handle it, but now he's worked how to spin us to his advantage, and that's what's happening now.
Anybody want to jump on? The link is in the chat. It's pinned at the top. If you want to come on and have your say in a sensible way, come on. We'll keep this going for another 15 minutes or so because I want to give Dean a chance to come back on, get in the house. It would be nice for him to come on. And there is a couple of other things I want to ask him. A lot of people asking about 3D Fight Club. As far as I'm aware, people have been paid, and it's up for Dean to maybe address that. But I will ask the question if he comes back on. Nilo Max says, exactly, Steve, call a spade a spade. Dean wants to fight DECCA because he feels mugged off. When the evidence came out, that DECCA had question marks on his name after taking DECCA's word that he was innocent. That is my understanding, Nilo. That is my understanding. That's how it all started. The whole thing, though, constantly over the last few months has now just turned into a shouting match between both parties. But that's YouTube. I mean, just before we came on air, Anne, you were telling me something which I'd seen something yesterday between Motorsports Buggy and DECCA had erupted again, and that all seemed to have calmed down. But I did watch that live that Liam Ditchy did, where there was a guy came on with a knife, and he was saying that. He was coming on calling Motorsports Buggy this, that, and the other. Now you said to me that today allegedly someone's turned up at the guy's house. He
turned up at his house, or his mama's house. I don't know how to say so. His mama's house. I got confused. I couldn't tell what he was saying, whose it was. But there was a cap on the floor and a knife, and then there was film of. And this is what got me thinking. I don't know whether I'm believing this or not. He runs after him, and the fella just gets on the bus. And I thought, wouldn't you wrestle the fella to the floor and get the police there? Because he'd have to get the police in. I mean, you wouldn't be a grass getting the police in over that, for God's sake. You could be saving someone else getting stabbed in the future. But it's just, as it's unfolding now, I'm starting to get, is this is this just been invented to get more views, I don't know. It's early days, but I did a thing on my community page of Paul, and twice as many people think it was a fake than what they do think it was genuine. I don't know. There's just something about it. It might be genuine. It might be. But there's something there that I think needs explaining. It just looks odd and too convenient the way it happened.
Yeah, Jackie, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put that interview back up because I did take the interview down. It's still on the channel. It's just hidden, the DECCA HEGGIE interview. And Barry, who came on the program that night, he asked to come on the channel. Now, I still don't know whether that was somebody that knew DECCA and that was arranged between the two of them and he decided to put himself forward, but I was happy to have him on. He then came on that channel and on my channel and on that program, and he defended DECCA. Now, did he show me any evidence? No, he didn't. Not at all, Jackie. He came on the show. He came on live, which is what we're inviting people to do tonight, to have a quick chat about this fight and what the views are. Since then, I've had numerous messages off him. I blocked him on my Facebook account because the guy just then continued to come up with, he was coming out with various statements. And at one point, he actually made a bit of a threat, which I chose to ignore. And I thought, I'm just going to block the guy. I don't really know him. I know which area he's from. We've got mutual acquaintances from Felon and Gateshead. But other than that, I don't know the guy. He put himself forward. And then, he just seems to have flipped his lid. But yeah. Didn't show us any evidence, Jackie. That's the answer to your question. So there you go. Lawson Show is going to come on. So yes, Lawson.
All right, my man. I'm from Scotland. I just want to clarify there. See the boy that turned up at Motorsports door?
Yes, mate.
He stays along the road to Motorsports about 800 yards, and it's not a set-up at all, mate. That guy actually turned up at Motorsports door with a 7.5, 8-inch blade. He then chased him, but we Motorsports hit him off the uppercut and taken him right off his feet, mate.
Wow.
That none of you's actually seen, but I seen it. So, he actually got taken right off his feet, the cunt at the big guy's door, so he did. So, just to clarify that, buddy.
Thanks for that, Lawson. I've got to be honest, I met Motorsports Buggy at the 3D Fight Club. Lovely guy.
He's a nice guy, mate.
Top guy. I've watched some of his content. again, like I said, YouTube is a funny old place. We all do a few things on here to clickbait sometimes, and we do it. It's part of it, but people like it because TV's so poor these days that people tune in to watch it, and they like the debate, and they like the crack, and you know, they like the controversy. And DECCA's full of controversy. DECCA is the key word for controversy on here, which is why a lot of people do stuff on it. But that's taken it to the next level. And I've got to be honest, having met Motorsports Boogie as a former doorman, when I met him and I looked at him, I thought he's the kind of person, if he came to the door, I'd be watching him all the time, because the small ones are the ones you've got to watch.
That's very true.
But he's a nice, on first impression,
he's a genuine guy, mate.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's my personal view. You know, I saw what happened. That's true,
everybody's
no, what I'm saying, here we are. Let me finish my sentence. You haven't even heard what I'm saying yet. No, what's put me right off Motorsports Boogie is because he was on the fake Christian exposure TV, giving me horrendous hate. Well, he wasn't, but he was laughing at horrendous hate speech being given.
I don't agree with that myself.
So, you know, his estimation has gone right down with me because I don't believe in that people who are haters against someone who can't help the way they're born is, you know, he's not a nice person.
That's very true, Anne.
Yeah.
What I like about Motorsports Boogie is that when he says he's going to do something, he does it. He turned up at the 3D Fight Club press conference. He was there when he said he was going to. When there was this whole situation where DECCA was going to turn up with his paperwork at the hospital with his mum and dad. Who was there? Motorsports Boogie drove from Scotland and went down there to do it.
Good, man.
I live on the doorstep, and I thought, well, I'm not going anywhere near that because the last thing I want, I just didn't want to be there. But Motorsports Boogie did what a YouTuber's supposed to do, I guess, and he went down and did it. Video Craig was there; he went down. And Fergus Allenby making gains, he went down. So, to be honest, look, he is what he is. We're never all going to agree. We're not all going to like each other. I think, and I'm still a great believer in this whole thing. You know, I believe in British justice. I think that if DECCA's a wrong'un, it will come out, and eventually his downfall won't be because X, Y, and Z on YouTube have been slagging him off and calling him a nonce. It's because he gets caught for doing something he shouldn't have been doing with whatever, and that's it. And I don't agree with any type of bullying. I hate being bullied myself.
I don't agree with what Dean's doing either, to be honest. I was actually about to say to Dean about that because he's just making him more famous, to be honest with you.
Okay, so is it the backwards and forwards, the tit for tat that you don't like, or is it the...
Aye, definitely, mate. It's pointless.
Yeah.
Pointless.
It's interesting.
Pretty pointless, but I mean, it's if there is victims out there, Ken, they're not really giving the victims a second thought, really, are they?
No. Well, that's what Anne said before. Carter, welcome, mate. What's your view tonight? What would you like to say?
I just want to. I mean, I've been watching all this YouTube shenanigans for pretty much months now. I've got my own opinions, which I won't express on here. But I just want to say one thing, right? I worked a season in Butlins when I was 26 years old in Minehead. Okay, I'm on the wrong side of 45 now. And there was an incident where I was in a room with a female and another guy and another female. And anyway, basically, I tried it on with her. I was rubbing her leg. And at the end of the day, I said, I'm wasting my time here, aren't I? And she said, yeah, pretty much. She didn't want to know. Okay. Next day, anyway, I went and done my service, taking the tables and that. Neil, can you go to the security office? I got arrested, by two female police officers. They basically arrested me for sexual assault, right? Which she later dropped the charge, okay? And she disappeared off the site. My point being, things can happen. I'm quite open about this. I was arrested. I was not done. I got released without charge, blah, blah, blah. Now, what gets me about DECCA, and it's all this unfounded stuff. If you have been arrested or apprehended at any time, then why doesn't he say, yes, I was arrested for this, but it was unfounded, it didn't happen. It's all skirting over. And that makes me think there's something deeper. Because
it happened earlier, I think he likes the drama.
I don't know, mate, but it's you know, I'm not a sexual predator or a nonce by any scheme of the fucking equation or whatever you want to call it. And I would fight and defend myself. But he doesn't. He just ignores
you
it.
would,
There's no point, Carl. I'm telling you now, right? Half the time, someone can prove their innocence, and I'm telling you now, if people don't want to believe, if they want to hate, they will. I get this because of what someone else did, twisted words, or said on Sean Atwoods, and people come up with it. Now, I don't take any notes of those people. I don't listen to them because I know if I turn around and proved 100% what happened, they're not going to want to believe it because they just want to abuse. There's sad people who sit in a room and scaredly they've got children, and ironically they're going on about nonsense and all this, and they've got children, yet they come across as people that you wouldn't want near a child because the child's going to end up warped with the way if that's the way they carry on online.
Yeah, I mean, Carter says, Walter Mitty says to you, Carter, he says, I think there's over 10 NFAs. That's the allegation, I guess. And this all stems, of course, from the leaked recording. Now, again, I don't believe everything I hear. I don't believe everything that I read. It's things can be manipulated. We know that. But that sounded quite damning. The recorded phone call that was put on, over the course of last year. So that's where everyone draws the attention and that's where they draw the knowledge from, that recording. Exactly. And also, of course, the recording, which was then recorded by DECCA, which is the one he always seems to forget, where he actually records himself speaking to his mum saying this. Now, that was quite damning. Out of all the conversations that was had, that was quite damning. I get where you're coming from, Carter. I get some people in the chat will still say, well, that's wrong what you did, blah, blah, blah. But what you're trying to say is, look, people can make mistakes. People can end up in this position. People can have an NFA, but it doesn't make them a sexual predator. And I get where you're coming from on that. But, ultimately, it's just the way that it's the way this is all panned out, and he's been judged and juried by people on YouTube for the last 6 or 7 months.
Yeah, and I get that, but I know if it was me, if I was him and I was innocent, I would be saying, well, show me where I've tried to manipulate a kid, or if I've been arrested for rape.
Well, he has been saying that. He has been saying that, Carl. He's been saying that again and again. Prove it.
No, prove of law, but I mean, get the people to come on. I don't know. Anyway, I've had a drink.
No, but listen, Carter, thanks for coming on. It sometimes, me and Ann do it every night. We get on, we do a podcast. It's not easy sometimes to come on and say stuff, and especially putting yourself in that position and coming out and saying that. But I appreciate you coming on, mate. So thanks very much for that, mate. Have a good night.
God bless all of you.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. Anybody else wants to jump on? We've got another, I'm happy to do another 5 or 10 minutes on the subject. I'm hoping Dean might get back on. If not, at least we've had a conversation with him, and we know that he wants to fight. We know the fight's going to go ahead. I am genuinely disappointed, though, and that DECCA didn't use the opportunity to come on. I know why. I know why, because he probably felt he was going to be set up. He can't trust anybody. I genuinely would have liked him to come on. I don't think it would have turned into a slanging match, and with him and Dean. I think Dean would have probably would have said a few things about paperwork, I would imagine, and certainly what he mentioned there about the new Sarah's law, Claire's law. However, I think we might have had a resolve and at least maybe stop the tit for tat, which would have then led to them just concentrate on getting ready for the fight.
Well, he said he'd have, and he didn't say he wouldn't rule out. From what I was getting from it, he wouldn't rule out you going on his show if he was going to consider it. Not saying he said he would, but it would have to be on his platform, wouldn't he? So he'd get the clicks and the views from it. That's what I find
this interesting as well, though. I mean, somebody said, where's that comment gone? Something about paperwork. Yeah, David Haywood. Everyone show their police records and NFAs make it fair. Now, I went out and did that acro. I did it last year. I sent it to Humble Dryer as he requested, and from my sense, some of the other protagonists out there, who were asked to do this, never showed their paperwork either. Why do you think that is?
Because they went they went absolutely hysterical and dropped the protection team that they were doing, so they wouldn't have to get those checks from what I could see.
Yeah, Bristol Bob,
you have
I've
to
never
work
nonced
out.
him off. I have never
Mm.
nonced him off. I have never gone
Yeah.
on and said, the only time I have ever been asked about the situation was by DECCA himself, and I will put the interview back up. I'm going to make it public again. I'll share it tonight. But on that interview, he asked me, did I think he was a nonce? And I said, I don't know. And that was an honest answer. I didn't say yes and I didn't say no. And I haven't gone on to make content for 6-7 months like some people, calling him a sex case, calling him a nonce, because I don't know whether DECCA HEGGIE is. And I'm still in the same position. I haven't seen the proof. I've been told about it by X, Y, and Z who claim to have seen it. I've heard the same tapes as everybody else out there. But, you know, can I categorically, hand on heart, say that that is what he is? That is what he is? No, and that's why I've never said it, and that's why Anne doesn't come on channels and says it. And plus, on top of that, somebody made a point before: the police, CID, whoever will be watching all of the videos that everybody is doing, and they'll be putting them all away for a rainy day. And believe you me, some of the people out there who've been putting stuff out about him, if there isn't a case to answer, certainly will have a case to answer themselves. I'm sure, Anne. You should know.
Well, this I usually get the people, you know, who, and this is what you've got to be careful of as well. There's a thing called deflection. People start screaming. That someone else is a danger to kids or not, and you can guarantee one of them that's doing that is going to be a danger to kids, because they're using deflection to try and say, "Oh, look, I'm for child safety and all this." It's an act of deflection at the end of the day, but it's just. You know, it's, I think, too much. It's just I find it's also getting very, very boring now, because it's getting nowhere. It's getting nowhere. It's just like on the hamster wheel, it's going on. But where Dean, I wish Dean was on here. Where Dean, as I said, wants to be.
I'm going to message him again while we're on, see whether he can get on. Whilst we're talking, there's one thing that somebody, big respect to MGs. Thank you for that. Out of everyone involved in the drama, they're the most reasonable and trustworthy sources. Thank you. I wouldn't say sources because we're not on the inside looking out, but I know what you mean, and we do try to be reasonable. Why is DECCA never sued anyone, says Jojo. And Shelley makes a point that a few people make. There's already a sexual assault. That's enough to say that he's a wrong'un. And again, you know, yes, that kind of sexual assault is completely unacceptable, as is making some of the comments that people are making towards Anne. And anyone does that, you're just going to find yourself blocked, I'm afraid. So, you know, please stop having a pop at Anne.
Oh, look, these are just, look, right, the neo-Nazis always follow me. I know where they come from. I mean, you've just had an abuser in there, haven't you, the fake Christian, so they're following him over. So
yeah, Yolanda says yes you can. They come straight from DECCA's phone. I think talking about the tapes and that, I mean, when you first heard the man, you got experience, I guess, of you know, speaking to people on the phone in your former occupation like that. Did that sound genuine to you, those tapes, when they were first produced?
Not doing that. I never did sales laws or anything like that. No way. So I wouldn't. I've never heard one to be able to say whether one's genuine or not. So I couldn't say 100% whether that is genuine or not. But what I can't work out is how did these, some of these records with DECCA in them, how did they get into the public domain? I can't work that out.
Stephen Gibbons, I don't watch the channel anymore, mate. I don't watch the channel. I've got no time. I'm busy doing stuff, living life and cracking on. I don't watch it. We don't reply to it. I think Stephen Sayers is exactly the same, mate. And if he's making money out of t-shirts, I think, you know, that's the way that he likes to make his money. Good luck to him. But From my perspective, I genuinely don't watch it, Stephen. I've got no interest in the guy anymore. I've moved on. I told you.
Got to get your jar and your meals somehow, haven't you? Why not use child sex exploitation to do it?
Very, very, very sad. Very, very sad. Jojo says the funniest thing in his comments are they all have the same dreadful grammar and dodgy spelling, just like him himself. Again, you know, a lot of people suggesting that, you know, he runs multiple accounts. He says that he doesn't, one.
I don't know. I say, unless I'm there, watch them. You don't know, do you? You don't know what he's up to. But people accuse you of all sorts. There's all kinds of detectives go down. They accuse people of having multiple accounts and all this and all sorts. But at the end of the day, they're just armchair detectives, and they're going to say it just to try and make someone look bad. I had one called Jax who used to be on, and everyone was accusing her of being me for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, that until I started doing lives, then suddenly Jax would pop up and I'd be talking, and it suddenly sank in. Wait a minute, but people would all the time. Jax was me. A soccer account to me wasn't.
True Blood says 495 watching, only 49 likes. Says how popular you pair of wrong'uns are. True Blood, you know the difference between my channel and other people's channels. I don't beg for likes. If people want to like it, they can like it. I'm not bothered. I enjoy
And this thing is, well, Steve, right, when they go wrong guns, right, we're out there, we put our face out there. That's someone that's not come to putting the face out there. I wonder why.
Yeah, but we don't sit and beg. You don't sit and beg for them. I see a lot of YouTubers doing it. People want to like the video,
Steve, let's talk about this. No, this is my brother's birthday, Ben. Funny enough, it was his brother's birthday, Ben's birthday, about 4 weeks ago on my channel, and I was getting the same people. Don't fall for it. Don't know who it is, but he's got this obsession with getting people to say happy birthday to Ben. Well, Ben has a birthday every week.
Well, the Queen's got two. Happy birthday to Ben. I hope he has a great day. I hope to get on a live with you at some point, Steve. Yeah, always welcome. Jump on now. Anybody wants to jump on? Anna, you all right to do another spell, or do you want to go off? Yeah, well, let's do it. Let's address it. Anybody wants to ask me or Anna a question until hopefully Dean gets on, it will be good. Truth and lies. What's that? Come on, Steve. So why is it you're talking to Tony? I don't talk to Tony, mate. I don't have his number. I blocked him on all social media. I've got no interest in speaking to the guy. He did try to call on us. Is that that's what you used to say when people used to call on you to see if you were playing out? But I wasn't in. But maybe next time I will be. Who knows? That's if I'm in the country. Genghis Cove says, but DECCA acknowledges the tapes were genuine. In the voice note, you hear him say he's getting it done for the recording the copper. But there we go. Yeah, I mean, look, there is.
Oh, could be true. Yeah.
Clearly, that one is damning. It really, really
but
is.
How
damning.
did it get out there? I can't wait. That would you put that out there yourself? And it's like the one he did with what's that?
He sent it to. I'm not going to name the girl.
Oh, I get you.
But he sent it to her, and she then put it. She then put it in the hands of people who put it out. So there we go. We've got somebody else joining us. Anyway, Woodsman is joining us. How are you?
Hiya, Steve. Hiya, Anne. How are you?
Hiya.
Good to see you. Good to see you. What were you eating there, by the way?
Are you both okay?
What were you eating?
I always like to come on eating a yogurt.
All right. Okay. Right. Excellent. What would you like to say?
Well, I was just preparing some quiz questions to go and have some fun on my own channel.
Okay.
But someone who you've had on your show seems to have got a bit of clout going.
Go on.
Made some threats towards me over some just YouTube nonsense. He made a public threat. And saw it.
Yeah, but Steve doesn't have anything to do with it.
Say he would send friends round to his to my family home.
Okay.
And then what else did he? This is the night after he'd been on Ronan's live podcast. I'll be honest, I've had some issues with certain medications and stuff, and maybe a bit erratic. So I've done some funny posting, and they were getting at me a bit, and I smashed my 20,000 bar. That's a £500 computer, and then what's his name? Ellis came on and said, "Who was that fucking bellend? Good job he's in Thailand, otherwise, I'd rip his fucking face off. He's 100% non." So we all started singing Gary Glitter songs, and then we had a little try and back and forth on what's his name, that trolling fool, Karma Corner, and he had nothing to say. He He wouldn't even stay for a debate. So I don't think you should be sort of supporting him going anywhere.
He doesn't support
victims of abuse. That's just why
he doesn't support Johnny. He doesn't support him.
No, I certainly don't. But I mean, look, I get your point. I mean, and it sounds like what you've been through is quite similar to what I've been through. Having that kind of stuff come through isn't very pleasant on the internet, mate. And unfortunately, there's no rules and regulations on YouTube. It just happens time and time again. And this kind of situation, if you put a head above the parapet, that's what's going to happen.
No, I
it's not good.
accept that, but you know.
What do you think about the whole DECCA HEGGIE and the DECCA HEGGIE and Dean fight then?
I couldn't care less, to be honest. I've just got no interest in that stuff whatsoever.
Well, that's what this is about, Johnny.
All of it.
That's what this is about. This is the subject.
Over
You're
late
on the
night,
wrong
I
show.
haven't been rude, Steve. Sorry. Over late night streams have just been about fighting, bare knuckle fighting. I am a boxing fan, to be honest, but you know, I'm just.
But just before I bring the next guest in, did you enjoy the Tyson Fury fight?
It was all right. Yeah, it was all right. Fury's pretty good, isn't he? But anyway, I don't want to embroil myself too deeply just yet in the middle of all this British podcast nonsense. But I just wanted to get my point across to somebody with a bit of clout.
Well, there you go, mate. You've done it.
Go and sink into the background.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your yogurt. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Prepare myself for war.
All right, mate.
Take
care.
Cheers.
What are you doing, Johnny? Zig T says DECCA has just made a video saying him and Dean are going live on Friday for an online conference. So hopefully the fact that I went out and invited him on has played a little part in that. I'd like to think. Matrix on PC. I will bring you in. What would you like to say?
Hello, Steve. How are you? How you doing?
Oh, fine, thank you.
Very good. What would you like to say?
I just wondered if you guys had actually caught up with the latest drama regarding Mr. DECCA HEGGIE, allegedly, today.
Go on then.
Oh, you talking about motorsports?
Yeah, well, apparently Motorsports Buggy had someone visit him today with a weapon in his hand and a note. And allegedly he'd said that he'd been sent round from DECCA as a form of threat, and it's kind of kicked off this afternoon. But I think the man is obviously not very well at the moment. I think he was someone that lived quite close to Motorsport Buggy, but yeah, it just goes to show that the some of the drama and some of the things have consequences, and that would have. I mean, if the guy turned up today with a knife, which apparently allegedly did, it could have been quite a serious incident.
Well, that's why motorsports has to get onto the police, because it wouldn't be grassing someone up. If this fella who must have mental health issues, which he must, Motorsports Buggy, I mean, he might have, that's most probably why he's taking videos down, which he has. He wouldn't be grassing doing that. He could be saving someone from serious injury.
Yeah.
So he's got to go and report it.
I mean, a lot of people sit back and I'll be honest with you, a lot of people, certain channels, they class it as entertainment, but when situations like this arise, when people are turning up on doorsteps armed with weapons, you have to ask yourself that words do have consequences sometimes. It's kind of getting a little bit out of control.
Just let me tell people, Steve, because I've got this and I've got seen in there the word, which is exposure. I know it is because he said the same thing before. Wade was saying, right, I'm getting a visit and all this. Do you know that? And he was saying this on another thing, but under his name, exposure. Now, just let me tell people, if someone starts trying to dox you or saying to come down to your house, get straight onto the police. You can do it online, report it, log it. Because if anything happens, they know whose door to knock on. And people who go around making threats like that, just remember this. If it's not you that does something to that person, the police are still going to call to you because they've got your name on the system. And you're just causing yourself to have all your equipment seized and all that. So making threats like that is not clever. It's just going to backfire on you terrible when that happens. Backfire.
Yeah. Of course it is. I mean, I've had the similar thing. I had before. I can see you in the background, Graham. I will bring you in a second. From my perspective, I had during lockdown, I had a guy turn up at my house, and he basically came to apologise, which I found a bit bizarre. The fact that somebody chose to search you down and come and apologise, but he did, and I found that weird behaviour. Yeah. Obviously, a few weeks ago, it's well publicised. I put it out there. I put a small video out. I won't name the person, but most people will know who it is. Turned up in my street, almost to send a subliminal message to say, I know where you live. has made numerous comments since then about having contact with somebody in the street. I'm not stupid, but I'm not scared. And there are precautions taken when you have that kind of situation. However, that kind of bullying on social media, as Matrix has quite eloquently put, taking it to the next level is very dangerous. And as I've said all along, the one thing that happens on YouTube with all of this that's going on, especially those who are continually having a pop at certain individuals, it's all been documented somewhere. And that is what these people don't seem to realize. They don't seem to get it through their thick skulls that somebody somewhere will be watching this, and eventually whatever happens, and it might not even be that person who takes takes it too far, but those people will be the ones who are under suspicion. And that's just the way it works, unfortunately. In Matrix, you're right, 100%. It's a good point, well made. If you want to stay on Matrix, you're more than welcome. I'm going to bring Graham in. Graham, how are you? You're not eating a yogurt.
How are you, Graham?
I'm not eating a yogurt, no, Steve. I'm not.
Good. Welcome to the show, mate. Thanks for coming on. It's the first time I've actually done this where I'm just bringing people on, and I'm delighted that Anne's decided to stay on and join us. To pity the Dean's connection.
I basically took this opportunity because obviously you've done a personal message the other day, which I really appreciate. It was for my cousin. That's who we done it for. Simon Thomas. So I really appreciate that. His mum and dad have sent thanks and appreciation for it as well. So I wanted to try and get that message to you to say thank you for that. But on the subject that we're on, I've been following this for since it started November time. I don't comment on it. I don't do any videos. I've got my own channel for Baby Graham that I'm pushing at the moment, which has nothing to do with this. But I have, the way I see it, right, is when I've listened to all the phone calls, everything else, right, the one with his mum about this 11-year-old, if he was in 2000 and whenever it was, right, he's 2 years older than me, DECCA. So he was born 83. I was born 85.
Yeah.
That would have made him 25 or 27 when this 11-year-old thing happened. So if that is what's on his ACRO or what's on his DBS, if you had got it out right there and then and got it over and done with, we wouldn't be sat here. But obviously it's not. I don't think it's just that. I think there's that. I think there's all these women carry on that he keeps going on about. But on the other hand of it, I think a lot of people are building channels and just dragging things out. Apparently there's a new Sarah's and Claire's law being done. Right, we'll get it up then. Why is everybody waiting? Just get it done. Do you know what I mean? Why people are turning up at people's doors with knives now? People have gone to your door, Steve. They've gone to DECCA's mum's house. I think enough's enough, really. Like, you know, someone's going to put the evidence out there that is 100%. This is the facts. Bang, bang, bang. Nothing else can be said, or leave the subject alone. Because to be perfectly honest, it's just causing grief for everyone involved. That's my opinion.
Do you know what I forgot to say? Right. DECCA's getting the blame for this fella calling down. But a lot of people on that thing that I did on the community page, they were saying the same thing. How did he know it was DECCA that sent him? He could just
because it was mentioned in the chat. It was on Liam's channel, and it was mentioned by somebody that as he sent him, it was, you know, in fact, DECCA did a video in a car, if I remember rightly, and said,
I know people as well.
Yeah, I know people as well. And I think then it's escalated. But this guy, I mean, look, I don't know the guy. He had long hair. He came on. He was just trying to make a point.
Yeah.
And then Liam knocked him off, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And then this has all escalated to this. And like people are saying in the chat, somebody, and you just put it across well as well, Graham, it's somebody is going to get hurt. Somebody somewhere will get hurt.
To be honest, I haven't got an issue with any of the people involved because I'm not involved with any of them, and I've got my own agenda with Baby Graham's channel, and it's totally away from all this. I literally want to jump on this just to have me say on that, but also...
Yeah, oh, he's cut off there. He's just jumped off.
So...
I've got your back, mate. We've got your back, I think.
Got it back, yeah. Like I say, I'm not really on anybody's side with it. I know what I know, and I've listened to all the evidence, and I know what sides are what, and I think all the other relevant people just need to back off. And if someone's going to put something down, they should put it down. And I think they should just stop the dragging on and everyone getting involved, because there's a lot of subliminal messages getting thrown about, and not everybody on YouTube is stupid. A lot of them are educated people, and when you listen to certain ones, I won't name them, but you listen to certain people's videos, there's a lot of subliminal messages of violence being thrown
Oh,
about.
there's a lot.
And it's so easy. Let's say, for instance, DECCA did not have anything to do with that guy going to that house, just purely by the fact he's suggested, I know people as well. Then this incident happened very, very quickly in succession. It's easy to point the finger and say he definitely sent him. But the actual fact, he might not have at all. But it's so much easier to say, yes, it is, and go with that narrative because of what's been said previously. So I think everyone's digging a hole and someone's going to end up getting seriously hurt, I think.
I said that 6 months. I said that 6 months ago, mate, and that's why I decided that I was just bailing out of the whole rubbish. And like at Christmas, I made a point of not saying anything about DECCA's situation, not saying anything about the guy who I've had a constant backwards and forwards with, and I'm going to maintain that with that guy because what's been said has been said. I don't think it does anybody any favors, and what more can be said? I've given my facts and I've given my presentations. I've put Stephen's put his side of the story out. There's nothing else to be said, and there's no point in doing it. And all it's doing is building his channel up, getting him some views, and people watch me to watch him, to watch me to watch him. And I walk around the streets of Newcastle, mate, and I know what people think. I hear what people say, including that person's family. And genuinely, I know that I've got nothing to worry about with those people because they know what side my bread's buttered on, but they also know that I'm speaking the truth. So I've got nothing to gain from that. The only reason that I reached out on this DECCA situation, and like I said, I knew tonight would get good figures. I knew we'd get good viewing figures. And it's lovely to see the fact that people are clearly enjoying it because they've stayed on to watch this debate because they can see that it's controlled and the people who've come on have made genuine points. But I just think that the DECCA and Dean situation needs to come to some kind of conclusion. I hope in some small way by doing this tonight that now that DECCA appears to have announced that there's going to be some kind of get-together on his channel by the sounds of it next week. Happy days. Good luck to both of them. I hope it works out. I hope that they do have the fight because I think it will be a good fight. And I hope that resolves it and they move on. Dean said he won't shake his hand. He'll move on and that'll be it. Do I think it'll end? Does Anne think it's going to end? All of this bull that's going on at the moment, and of course it won't. And will DECCA's channel go? Of course it won't. It'll grow. More people will tune in. More people will watch it. I think 2.7 million people in total watch Danny Christie versus DECCA. It's just going to build. And unfortunately, that suits him down to the ground because he makes good money off it. And I think what's happened as well with DECCA, and this is my guess, I don't know. I just think he's been advised, and I mentioned this to Anne off air yesterday. I just think he's being advised. I think somebody's advised him, and they're giving him so far they're giving him good PR advice. They're telling him
he's no now to spin it.
Yeah, hit it head on. Deny this, deny that, and just hit it head on, and that's where you're gonna.
That's where Dean needs to be, because no, he's saying he doesn't care about his image or anything like that, but he might care about his image in the future, and this is it. And it's all about the image you portray. But Belinda, I saw she made a go on about how can ex-drug dealers, etc., be judge and jury. DH has allegedly abused people and ruined their lives. But how many lives has drug dealer ruined? How many people have they killed, families destroyed? Now, this is a very good point, and I agree totally with Belinda on this. People don't realize that, especially when you talk about hard drugs like cocaine, heroin, and all this. When you're talking about that, I can assure you, people, that some of that money, whether the people who are dealing it and selling it will admit it or not, is going to child exploitation, shall I say. I won't say the full term, child exploitation material, or what people wrongfully call child porn. It's not child porn, it's child abuse, right? And that's child trafficking as well. Part of that money is going into producing that because it's a massive fund maker. So when these people who deal, I'm not talking about a little bit of weed or herb, I'm talking about the hard drugs. When they're dealing in that, I'm telling you now, whether they're doing it, putting the money themselves out there, they are enabling somewhere down the line a child to be abused and material to be produced and sold on, or whatever they want to do with it. So she's right there. It's totally hypocritical for them to start screaming about, oh, I'm thinking about children. I'm trying to protect the children. When they were the people that were in an industry that was helping along the way down the line to actually abuse children and put material out there for money.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna do an interesting interview probably next week with a former with somebody who was abused as a child. Now I've never done anything like that before, and this particular woman reached out to me because of my connections with the Cray twins, and she was a victim of somebody who was the mother of one of Reggie Cray's adopted sons. I'm going to do that next week, and I'm going to listen to somebody who's actually been through it, and I don't know how I'm going to cope with that because it's not something I've ever been through myself. Thank the Lord. It's not something that I've really looked into. I mean, people who know me know that I've got a big interest in true crime and gangster books, but I've always steered clear of things like the Ripper and the Moors murderers and Fred and Rose West. That's not my bag. It's not my cup of tea. But yeah, I've had a couple of chats with this woman, and I'm going to get her on. So that will be interesting next week to do that. But she has got a story to tell, and she feels like she hasn't had justice because the woman who she's accused of this particular crime has just took her life to avoid going to court. So it's going to be an interesting.
Also, it's a woman that was the abuser, was it?
It was a woman that was the abuser.
Well, that's because people don't talk about that often enough, do they? That women can actually be the abusers as well. So that's will be fascinating. That absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, no, 100%. And we are going to have a chat about autism as well, which I know is something, something that you do on your channel. So I know I'm going to go on to Anne's and, Graham, I think that's something.
Yeah, Graham will be on there.
Which you have experience about. And I know that our mutual friend Paul has been in touch. So, I will jump onto Anne's channel next week to do her autism show. But I'll happily get you on mine, Graham, and you can spread the word on my show about that.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Steve, like I say, you're a massive name. Obviously, it's going to push Baby Graham's channel a lot, and it's a genuine channel that wants to do good things. It's literally, I think the idea of what I'm pushing forward with Graham hasn't been touched on really in the public eye on a big scale or being really pushed out there to help anyone. So if you can give us the exposure, then great. I'll totally accept that. 100%.
No, will do, mate, 100%. But I'm definitely going to go on Anne's channel to talk about it. I did a little bit of reading up on it because it's obviously something I know about, but I know very little about, and I do like to be prepared before I go on anybody's podcast and talk about it, or get anybody onto my podcast to talk about it. So yeah, no, you're more than welcome, Graham, anytime. And thanks for coming on tonight, mate.
Yeah, I'm going to jump off because I've got a cat here that's dying to be fed.
Good stuff.
I'm going to go and feed the cat. I'll
take care.
You guys later. All right, thanks for having us.
Thanks very much,
Graham.
Bye-bye.
Graham.
Dodo, basically just asking a question. Can I ask Steve how many predators you were of being a doorman? I've got to be honest, in my time, and I did 18 years as a doorman, I saw a lot of things. I saw a lot of people, maybe taking advantage of the situation. Predators, no. People with weird fixations and fetishes, 100%. People who are cheating on their wives and girlfriends, 100%. But predators, nah. And what I did see was a lot of women, it has to be said, trying to use their talents, I guess, is probably the better way of explaining it, to try and jump the queue to get in, and to manipulate doormen. I saw a lot of that going on. But predators, definitely not Dodo. It wasn't something that was apparent when I was doing the doors. I think a lot of us were just concentrating on doing the job. I certainly was anyway. And I've been in a relationship for 22 years, so it's not something which I've ever, I ever looked at seriously. I met my wife on the doors, and something which I'm immensely proud of, my relationship.
It's all changed now, hasn't it? You can't say bouncer now, can you? It's insulting.
Door technician.
Yeah, but it's all changed now. They're actually reaching out. They want women. They definitely want women, and they want people from the LGBTQI community to start doing it because they want the cuddly approach. But I tell you now, just go down to a gay club and see if gays are cuddly. I tell you now, when you get a kickoff going. So if they're on the door, anyone starts, they'll be absolutely sorry for it.
Still milking the arse out the craze, AJ. Yes, of course I am. I had, as you know, many years spent visiting Reggie in prison, 10 years, and visiting Ronnie, 5 years in Broadmoor, and spent a lot of time outside of the jail with Charlie Craze. So yes, still milking the arse out of it, and why not? I knew them, and I've got a story to tell. Yeah, Matrix, it's interesting, isn't it, this whole YouTube stuff, though? And I mean, obviously, I've seen you comment many times on different bits and bobs that I've done and other shows. But this, I think a lot of it came from lockdown, Matrix. I think a lot of people went mad in lockdown.
I was just going to say that what you're seeing now is you're seeing the after effects of the lockdown situation with people who've been stuck in houses for 2 years, right, alone, with mental health problems, and now they're coming out into the open, and a lot of people are seeing crazy things happening. You know what I mean? But that's part of the fallout of it all as well.
Yeah, definitely. Truth and lies. I've got to be honest. I haven't seen any of your comments because I've been too busy speaking to people. You contact me, Truth Lies, and I'm certainly happy to have a conversation. I've got to forgive me, but I haven't seen what else you've been saying. I guess you've got something to say, and I'm more than happy to listen to anybody who's got something.
One of the things Graham mentions about the it's lost. I've been sat here waiting to ask this question. It was basically the power of YouTube, and people need to be very careful of it as well. You know what I mean? It's just like you're starting to see consequences now. And like Anne says regarding the drugs thing, you might be out with your friends having a line here and a line there, having a wonderful time. But the dark side of it is that you might be funding without even realizing it. A lot of horrible things in this world.
I keep on saying this, and none of them will cough up to it that's what they were actually involved in. And you know, it gets me because I'm a vegetarian. You get people going vegetarian because, you know, it's cruel we believe it's wrong to eat animals or to kill animals. It's cruel and all this, and farming. More so it's because the farming is cruel. But yet they'll take those drugs, and when you say to them, you do know somewhere down the line this is happening. Not just child, it's also prostitution, the forced slave prostitution, and all that will happen. Yet they won't be one bit bothered. They'll just sort of like let it go over their head, and that's what's scary, very, very scary about it all.
Yeah,
be a vegetarian.
Definitely is. No, I mean, I've enjoyed doing it this night. I don't like the milk. We obviously set it up for Dean and Dougie to come on. People have clearly enjoyed it, which is great. Hit the like button if you do want us to do this again. I'm more than happy to come on. I know I've done a few Q&As, just personally Q&As, but I'm more than happy to do this kind of thing on a regular basis if people think it's worthwhile doing, and it's certainly good to get other people on as well, like Matrix, like Graham, like Steve Woodman, who came on earlier on, and you know, it's just nice for people to come on. Humble Dryer, good to see you on there. Boxing Enquirer as well. Thank you very much. And yeah, I will come on and do a boxing chat on your channel. Not a problem at all. Just send me the details, and I'm more than happy to come on. Final word then, Anne, on this whole thing. I get on Dean and Dougie. At least it seems as if we've got somewhere. There's going to be a chat next week, and that could be interesting, I guess.
I don't know. I think it's I say I'm sorry that Dean it couldn't stay on here because I did have questions for him. I just think I don't know. There's something sour about it all. I don't think anything's going to be sorted. I mean, literally, you can talk. DECCA's not going to turn around and say, you know, oh yeah. I mean, is he? He's just not going to be realistic. Box and smashing someone's face in isn't going to solve anything. I think it's also, if someone's serious about addressing the issue of safety of children and safety of women, what they've got to do is go out and campaign, not just against one person, but against places or communities where it's happening, where the people are too terrified to speak out because they don't trust the authorities. And sadly, that does happen in the travelling community. So they're scared to go to the police. So maybe Dean could also take that on board and start, if you want to talk about that anytime on my channel, about the problem of potential victims not being able to speak out to the authorities because they don't trust them. I'd willingly have that conversation if he's serious about addressing the subject of child and female safety.
I've got to be honest, you know, in the time I got to know Dean, he's a genuine kid. He seems to be genuine. And look, we've got past. He's admitted his past. He said, "This is what I've done," etc. Some people will disagree with what he's done, and that's that. But look, fair play to him. He come out and said, "This is what I've done." I'm sure he'll come on. I'm sure he will have a chat. I do want to mention. Thanks to Matrix for coming on. Matrix is dodged off now.
Goodbye, Matrix.
But thank you for coming on. I am running the Great North Run for the Bradley Lowry Foundation this year in September. I've just stuck up my link. If anybody would like to sponsor me, I set a conservative target of £500 to raise for the charity. I'm pleased to say that since I put the link up on Monday, I've managed to raise £345. So thank you so much to the 17 donors. Anybody tonight who can spare a couple of quid for that wonderful charity that I'm running for, please do. I'm doing a fire walk in May, and then I'm doing the Great North Run. I've never done it. I'm no runner. I'll probably walk around and probably do it in about 4.5 hours, but I will complete it. So please, if you can, spare the time to support us and drop us a sponsorship. Please do. Last question to XXX. Can I ask you what you think about the Black Bull opposite the grounds change of name and how the best bar in the West End will fit in with the locals now? Now, XXX, I have seen this, and it is going to be called the Black and White Bull, I believe. So I like the name. I think they put it out on their social media, and I think it was a good idea to call it the Black and White Bull because it faces St James's Park, and as a Newcastle fan, I think that's great. I'm interested to see what it turns out like, and I genuinely feel that bar should be a big success, but we will see. But that's my answer to that question. So I hope you're happy. Humble Dryer, thank you for saying you'll donate. That's great. I'm sure we'll get you on the channel. I've had you on before, Humble. We're always good to get you on and have a chat at some point.
Can I come on when he's on?
Yes, I think that would be good. Why don't we do that next week? We'll do it next week, Anna, if you're free. We'll do your show about autism. We've obviously got our News of the World show, but let's do it next Thursday if you're free.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
Good stuff. All right, well, listen, thank you so much, Anne, for coming on. I'm delighted to spend another night in your company. Thank you to everybody who's watched. I hope you got something out of it, and we'll come back next Thursday just after 7 o'clock, and I'll ask Humble Drive who'll pop on. But Anne, have a good night. Take care.
And you, Steve. Thank you for that. Bye-bye now.